Okay, for number 13 is our word problem. Now, the thing I want to look at first is what are the directions and what is the question statement, especially on the STAR test. Make sure you key in on the questions. So, for this entire situation, what are the length and width of the garden? I'm going to be finding length and width. So I got to make sure I keep that in mind. Also, for the first part, it wants me to draw and label a picture. So let's go ahead and do that. In many cases, the picture is worth 1,000 words. Okay, so draw it out. Eddie is a rectangular garden. Stop. What should I draw?
Rectangular garden.
Okay, there's a rectangle, and there's all this stuff growing in my garden. I know, it's a very, very pretty garden with only 2 rows in it. Okay. To cover the garden at night during spring, the length of the garden is 7 feet longer than the width. Any ideas how we could express that with variables?
Yep. 7W.
Okay. First off, does it say that it's 7 times anything? 7 feet longer than. Okay. Now also, so this one's technically the width, and this one we said was W plus 7. However, it tells us what variable to use. Are we supposed to be using a W? No. This is instead supposed to be an X, and this is supposed to be an X plus 7. Eddie knows that the garden is 60, or it needs 60 square feet to cover it. So my area is 60 square feet. So, there's my picture. Now, write a quadratic equation to represent. Be sure to state any formula that you used. Well, let's see. What information do I know about this rectangle? Okay, we know the width is X.
We know the area is 60.
We know the area is 60. What else do I know? So what formula do we know that has to do with area, width, and length? Volume? No, not volume. Come on, guys, y'all did this like in elementary school.
Perimeter.
Is area and perimeter the same thing? No, guys, how do I find the area of a rectangle? Oh, area equals length times width. All right, now let's go ahead and plug in all of our values. Replace the A with what? 60. Replace the L with what?
7.
With what? I'm sorry? X plus 7, okay. X plus 7. And replace the width with X. So, first off, have we done what the directions asked us to do? State any formula. Did we do that? Yes, we did. Do we have a quadratic equation? I don't know. Is it quadratic or not? What's quadratic look like?
X squared.
X squared. Technically, this is a quadratic equation, but let's go ahead and make it look more like one. How do I get an X squared out of this thing? Multiply the X's. Distribute that X in. Is going to give me 60 equals X squared plus 7X. There's my quadratic equation. Well, so the question was, we didn't have to answer it. For this section, the answer is the quadratic equation. So yes, we answered this question. Now for this one, we are going to solve it. So make sure you're following your directions. All right. So then, how do I solve this thing? Okay, what am I looking for on the left? What do I have to solve any quadratic equation?
0.
I have to have an equal 0. So how do I get this thing to equal 0? Okay, well, do I add the 60 or subtract it? Subtract it. So let's subtract 60 from both sides. That's going to give me 0 equals. Now over here, the 60 does not have an x on it, so we cannot combine it with this one or with that one. So we're just going to get x squared plus 7x minus 60. All right. Now, what method do we want to use to solve this thing? Jeremiah? Substitution. Did you read the directions? What's the directions say? Solve by what? By factoring. So we got to factor this thing. All right? That begs the question, how do we factor? Now, yeah, we have done the box method. We also talked about very briefly the shortcut. I'm going to shortcut this thing. Remember our shortcut? We put two sets of parentheses. We put an X and we put an X. Now, I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to give me 60 and add to give me 7. Well, what numbers multiply to give me 60? 10 and 6. Do those two add to be 7? No. What else? 12 and 5. Could those things add to give you 7?
But you need negative 5.
Oh, yeah, we need, wait, negative 5?
You need both.
Although, we kind of missed something, didn't we? It's not 60, it's negative 60. These two do not multiply to give me negative 60. They multiply to give me positive 60. One of them has to be negative. So if I make it a negative 5, then 12 plus negative 5 makes it be 7. Those are my two numbers I'm going to use. 12 and negative 5. And that 12 has got to be plus. All right, now once I've got it factored, how do I solve from there? You split it, use our zero product property. I'm going to come over here to do this. 0 equals x plus 12, and 0 equals x minus 5. Solve it, transpose the 12, negative 12 equals x, and transpose gives me 5 equals x. Now, I've got two answers, 5 and negative 12. Which one of them makes sense and one does not? Go back up to the original problem. This side is how long? It's either negative 12 or 5. Can this side be negative 12? No. So that one's an extra answer that doesn't matter. Or that doesn't actually work. We always have to test these things to make sure they actually work. So that means this one is 5. And how about the length? It's not 7, it's x plus 7. Yeah, so 5 plus 7 gives me 12. All right. Now, write your answer in a complete sentence. Guys, again, please make sure that the sentences you are writing make sense. Read it back. If it's not something you would be proud to say out loud, you shouldn't be writing it on your paper. Okay, please make your sentence be coherent. All right? So, the question says, what are the length and width of the garden? The length of the garden is 12 feet, and the width is 5 feet. There we go. Once again, please double check your sentences and make sure that it makes sense.